The night of the 8th of April 2022 in Nuevo León, Mexico, seemed ordinary. 18-year-old Debanhi Susana Escobar Bazaldúa joined two of her friends at a party in Escobedo. The evening was filled with music, conversations, and that feeling of youthful freedom that so often comes with late-night gatherings. There was laughter, selfies, and moments that no one thought would be their last memories of her. For Debanhi's family, that night would become the beginning of a nightmare that captured the attention of an entire country. In the early hours of April 9, around 4 a.m., the night took an unexpected turn. Her friends decided to call a rideshare driver they described as trusted to pick her up. The plan seemed simple. She'd get home safely. Instead, that moment marked the beginning of a mystery that would shake Mexico. Somewhere along the Monterrey-Nuevo Laredo highway, near the Nueva Castilla Motel, Debanhi reportedly got out of the vehicle. It was still dark, the highway nearly empty, the only light coming from distant headlights. She was alone. A widely circulated photo later showed her standing by the roadside. The image is chilling, and one 8-year-old girl alone on a deserted stretch of highway. That picture became the symbol of her case, shared across the country and far beyond. It would be the last confirmed moment anyone saw her alive. She never made it home that night. When her friends and family realized she hadn't returned, panic set in. They reported her disappearance. Her father, Mario Escobar, immediately joined the search. Volunteers and authorities combed the area near the motel, calling her name, hoping to find any sign of her. Her case quickly gained media attention. She wasn't the first young woman to disappear under suspicious circumstances in Mexico, but this time, the photo of her alone in the dark triggered a wave of outrage. Days passed. April 10, April 11, April 12. Her family held on to hope, but frustration grew. Search parties returned to the same areas repeatedly. The Nueva Castilla Motel was searched multiple times. Officials claimed they were doing everything possible, but as the days stretched into nearly 2 weeks, her father and the public began questioning their efforts. How could a young woman simply vanish so close to a major highway? Then, on the 21st of April 2022, came the devastating news. Debanhi's body was found in a cistern on the grounds of the very same motel that had already been searched. 12 days after she disappeared, she was discovered just meters from where search teams had stood before. The finding raised immediate suspicions and anger. How could they have missed her? Was there something more to the story? The initial statements from authorities were confusing. There were hints that her death might have been accidental, perhaps a fall, but her family did not believe that. They were adamant. Something terrible had happened to their daughter. Forensic findings showed injuries inconsistent with a simple accident. Her father publicly accused the authorities of mishandling the case and hiding the truth. As the story spread, Debanhi's name became known across Mexico. People saw her not just as another victim, but as a symbol of a larger crisis. In a country where thousands of women go missing every year, where many cases remain unsolved, her story struck a nerve. Protests broke out. People carried signs with her face, marched through the streets demanding justice, and lit candles at vigils. Justicia para Debanhi became a rallying cry. Investigators pieced together the timeline of her last hours. She attended the party, left with friends, got into the rideshare car. At some point during the ride, she got out voluntarily, or so the driver claimed. What happened after remains a mystery. Surveillance footage, witness statements, and phone records offered fragments of information but no clear explanation. The driver insisted she left the vehicle on her own. Her friends had already gone home. The highway was empty. And then, nothing. For many, the fact that her body was found so close to the original search site felt like a cruel joke. Either the search had been shockingly incompetent, or someone had placed her there later. Her father's grief turned into a relentless fight for answers. He spoke to the media daily, questioning every inconsistency, demanding accountability from the prosecutor's office and refusing to let the case be forgotten. The Nueva Castilla Motel became a place of mourning. People left flowers and messages at the fence. What was once just a roadside establishment now carried the weight of a nation's outrage. Her case highlighted how fragile the safety net is for women in Mexico, how vulnerable they are even in situations that are supposed to be safe, like a rideshare ride home. In the weeks that followed, the investigation was plagued by contradictions. Forensic reports were revised, statements were changed. Officials offered shifting explanations, from accidental death to potential homicide. Independent experts were brought in to review the case. They concluded that her injuries suggested violence. This only intensified public anger. Her father became a powerful voice, representing not only his daughter but also thousands of families still searching for their missing loved ones. He said repeatedly that Debanhi was a good student, a young woman full of dreams, studying law, and looking forward to her future. To him, the official narrative was unacceptable. She hadn't just stumbled into a cistern. Something had been done to her. As the months passed, Debanhi's case continued to dominate headlines. Journalists investigated flaws in the search, pointing out how authorities ignored key evidence in the crucial first hours. Activists used her story to highlight systemic failures, the lack of urgency in missing persons cases, the lack of coordination between agencies, and the culture of impunity that surrounds crimes against women in Mexico. The image of Debanhi standing alone on that dark highway became more than just a photo. It became a mirror reflecting the fear and helplessness many women feel. In a country where walking alone at night can be dangerous, where disappearances are frequent, her case resonated deeply. She could have been anyone's daughter, sister, or friend. 12 days. That's how long it took to find her, meters from where the search began. Those 12 days became a symbol of a broken system. Every vigil, every protest, every chant for justice carried not only her name but the names of countless others who had disappeared without answers. Her story was amplified by journalists, activists, and ordinary people refusing to let her become another forgotten statistic. As the investigation unfolded, one truth became clear. This was not just a family's tragedy, it was a national reckoning. Debanhi's case forced conversations about safety, trust, and justice. It exposed weaknesses in law enforcement procedures and put pressure on officials to reform how disappearances are handled. It made rideshare safety a national debate. It gave voice to families who had felt silenced for too long. Behind the headlines, it was a devastating personal loss. For Debanhi's family, the pain was immeasurable. Her father often spoke of how life was forever changed, the image of his daughter leaving that night, the unanswered questions, and the moment he learned she'd been found. No words could describe that pain. In the months after her death, murals were painted, memorials built, and her story reached beyond Mexico. But for her loved ones, none of that mattered as much as justice. Her case also forced scrutiny on rideshare safety and raised urgent questions about how many more young women might be at risk. Today, the dark highway where she was last seen looks ordinary again. But for many, it represents unanswered questions and a fight for change. Debanhi Susana Escobar Bazaldúa was only 18, full of dreams and love. She should have returned home. Instead, she became a symbol of a movement demanding safety and accountability. Her story refuses to fade away. Her father's voice echoes, her photo circulates, her name is still chanted at protests. Justice for Debanhi is about more than one case. It's about making sure this never happens again. Her story remains, not as a file, but as a reminder that one night can change everything, and some stories must be told until justice comes.